everybody. Welcome back to Fun, 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 a podcast where we take fun seriously. I'm your host, as always, the Chuckle King, sitting on the throne of giggles, Dan. Some call me Disney Dan, but not this week because I have terrible news. I've heard terrible things. But before I talk about these terrible things, let me introduce my producer, Debbie.
Well, I'm Nathan because Debbie was sick and the union sent me. So
the union?
Yeah. You don't know about the podcasters producer union.
I don't know. I can't. I don't get this joke. So
it's
I don't know what's happening, Nathan.
You don't know the pre-show of this beautiful attraction we're gonna be discussing today?
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Now I understand where you're going with it. I
want to back up 1 second here. So you said ha ha ha. I just looked at the intro and it's very funny.
Yeah.
And then you proceeded to say hit record, Nathan. And then we did the gag.
Yeah.
And then you went, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. I thought it was just some avant-garde shit, man.
Oh. Fair enough.
I thought, Nathan's getting weird, and I like that. Totally forgot. Listen, I'm not the guy who quotes movies. I'm just the guy who watches them and loves them. All right. So, you see, we invite distinguished Disney fans from all over the world to come and discuss here, okay? Unfortunately, none of them showed up. So instead we have SlashFilm and co-host of the YouTube channel Ordinary Adventures, Mr. Peter. Peter, I don't even know how to say your last name. What is your last name and how do you say it?
It's a silent C, so it's Sciretta.
Sir Peter Sciretta. Okay.
Yes.
What is a Sciretta, by the way?
I don't know. It's Italian.
It's Italian. That's all you have to say, I guess.
Oh,
hey,
Dan. Dan. The absolute racism you just threw with that hand gesture.
It's okay. Italians are white people. That's
I apologize.
It's like during the Olympics, I was always like, wah, 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 and it's like, it's fine. Hey, Peter, it's so nice to have you after all those terrible things I just said.
Yes. Dan, I know you don't know this, but there's also another special guest here with us.
Is there?
Who do we have?
Whoa. Do you have a photo replica Kermit?
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit.
Wow. Those things are beautiful. How long have you been sitting on that baby?
Since they came out. I have that, and I have Gonzo and Animal are upstairs, actually.
I really, really love the Gonzo one. I think it's really well done. The Animal one, I've seen them. Some of them look great. Some of them look psychotic. But the Kermit photo replica, they're gorgeous. Wow, look at that bad boy.
I'm so mad that, I remember being at Comic-Con one year, and they were showing off, was it Rizzo? Yeah, it was Rizzo the Rat. That was going to be the next one that they were going to produce, and they never produced it.
Yeah, everything fell apart. The world ended.
That doesn't sound anything like what we're talking about today. That's not a scenario that keeps happening.
What's that? A corporation didn't want to continue to produce the Muppets?
I don't know. That doesn't sound.
I don't know anything about that.
No.
Okay, so here we go. Peter has his support Kermit. I have my support bag of chocolate. And so let's talk about what's going to happen here. So, this is a tale of two. This is a tale of two stories, right? Right, Nathan. I think you phrased it better than me. It was the
best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah.
So when we were discussing this earlier, we were sort of recognizing, okay, there are two things that have happened in about the last, week, 1,000 years. I don't know. It's been a weird month. We had Rebecca Alter over at, I think it was Vulture. Yeah, it was Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture.
Discussing how Muppet Vision 3D at Hollywood Studios should become a heritage site, a national heritage site. And then on the flip side of that coin, we had D23, and they were like, there's going to be a Monsters Incorporated land. And we were like, okay, but where? And they were like, bye. And then the next day, and then the next day, to kind of make people feel good, they then released artwork explaining that Cars Land is taking over Rivers of America because they didn't want that shade while they were having a party at D23. And
Incredible.
Right. And so people are already in a bad mood. And then Drew Taylor over at The Wrap, our good friend on this pod, you will hear him in an episode coming up. He did this article where he basically laid down, hey, no, we shouldn't be questioning if this is a problem because it really truly is kind of a problem because they only didn't tell us that they were closing Muppet Vision like right before D23. They really were like, we're not sure, let's hold back. So we've reached this point where fans, literally some fans want this to be a heritage site while the corporation is deciding whether or not to, put a blindfold over Kermit and give it a cigarette and put it in the firing squad.
Right.
So
right. Absolutely.
That's where we're at, which is a weird dynamic, I think.
Right. Just to give you a point in time as to where we're having this conversation, like we're in this like weird limbo of like what's going on. And it's, I know this is weird, but like I just lost my dad to like a long battle with like cancer where like it was like a constant like back and forth of like, well, he's okay, he's not okay, is he okay, he's not okay. And I know that's a really strong comparison, but just to say that to a lot of people, these theme parks are like the place. They're like the place that they go that are like, it's like their safe place, their haven, like change and transition and like especially to big iconic things is really difficult to process in huge ways. And while a lot of us aren't necessarily emotionally tied to a river, I know that we're like sad about the playground at Tom Sawyer's Island. A lot of us aren't necessarily, sad about the river going or this or that. Like Muppets, it's not just the 3D movie, guys. You know what I mean? It's like this huge cultural like blanket for like millennials and Gen Xers. Like the Muppets they're big and they've persisted despite Disney's best efforts, quite honestly. And like I think it'd be interesting to talk about like what Disney has done with the Muppets and like what Muppet Vision means to all of us. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate that they're like, we're like, someone can't just say, this is what's happening. This is not what's happening. You know what I mean? Like this whole, like, will they, won't they is very like anxiety inducing for a lot of people. I guess is all I was trying to say there in my long rant.
By the way, I find this podcast so funny, Dan, because on your YouTube channel, you're happy Santa Claus. You love everything. You're just like laughing all the time. And then you come on this podcast and everything's like cynical and like, let's talk about how Disney is ruining the future.
Well, I think I'm happy and joyful, but I feel like I'm cynical on my main channel too. Like I pulled out a half of my hair talking about D23. So on the channel.
By the way, when I checked in and got my badge at D23, I actually saw behind the counter there's your picture and it said, "Do not let this man in."
I knew it. I knew I couldn't show face there. I knew I'd be banned. I knew they'd have those Harry Potter wanted posters of me laughing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Bellatrix Lestrange. Have you seen this wizard? This Chuckle King? Peter, looks like you had a great time. How was D23 for you? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I had a great time. It was expensive. I bought green spider bots and things I can't even like pick up. I have hold on, let me show you.
Did you get this?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We're going to ask about.
That's the thing I want to
look at it.
It's so
that's how
pretty.
Big that thing is.
It's Peter's baby, literally.
It's incredible. It is. I don't know where it's going to go. It's like I don't even have room. I don't have room for this, Dan. Why did I buy this? Where is it going to go?
Just to the roof of your car, so you drive around the Star Speeder.
Yes, but no, it was a lot of fun, and like that panel, us Disney fans have been asking for a long time. Like, we want new stuff, and they came out in the panel, and they're like, dirt is moving. We're giving you new stuff. Yeah. And then the next day they're like,
our shovels are so filthy.
In that dirt.
They are unbelievable. Our giant blue, we cracked out the Avatar shovels. We broke the glass and we got Navi in here scooping. That's how big it's going. We have the dirtiest shovels in town.
But like the next day, like we learned the new stuff is going to go where the old stuff was, and we were upset that the old stuff is being removed. Yeah. And I get it because I'm the biggest hypocrite here because, if they removed Rivers of America from Disneyland, I would be pissed. I would be so upset. But removing it from Magic Kingdom, I'm like, that Cars ride looks like it's better. Like, no one goes over to Top Story Island.
You're not a hypocrite at all, Peter. No. That doesn't make you a hypocrite.
As a former Disney World AP-er Floridian, like, there's a full recognition that all we truly got from Walt was Country Bears, and like that's it. Like everything else is copy paste. Everything else is kind of an idea of a thing. Epcot doesn't even count.
And by all means, pave the Rivers of America. I don't really care.
Pave it.
Like, fill it in with gravel. Just leave the bare dirt and just let's put the car ride right on that. You know what I mean? Like, let's just pave it.
But here's the thing. I like the idea of the Rivers of America at Magic Kingdom. Like, it looks cool seeing the Liberty Bell going by. And like, but I never go over to the island. I rarely get time to go on the boat. Here in Disneyland, it's a different thing.
If you imagine going on that island and then Genie Plus is like, beep, boop, beep, get on Peter Pan right now. You know what I mean? It'd be like,
you paid $100.
Genie, that's too much. And also it's the dead end of it all too, about the parks. Like, the Storybook Circus, Big Thunder, Liberty Square, like there are all these like weird dead ends, and like I gotta say, Batuu really, made Disneyland this beautiful like circular like thing, and so for Disney World, Magic Kingdom to get their Batuu and to have it be not Batuu, but still have the connective tissue, you know what I mean? It's like E.T. arriving and touching his finger on stuff, you know what I mean? He's like healing the park a little bit by paving Rivers of America. So I'm not upset about that. I think it's a cheap move to release the concept art a day after the expo ends.
Oh yeah.
I think that is one of the that's one of those I don't. This is called trickle truthing, guys. They tell if you go on relationship subreddits, you'll read all about it. Trickle truthing is dangerous. It's when someone does something that has hurt you and they want to just let you know information little bits at a time. And so this is what it is. They're like, oh, we've hurt you by taking away big things.
Dan, don't keep giving me more information that affirms my belief that Disney is an abusive boyfriend. Like you can't it's constant. Like you're absolutely right. I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't
Disney
want to be
the dentist.
Yeah, but I don't want to be Josh D'Amaro going out on stage and being like, by the way, like it's a bad call. So I get why they did it the way they did it.
Yeah. They're so desperate they're so desperate for that Apple keynote vibe, that energy. You know what I mean? Except you can't be. One more thing. We're demolishing Muppet Vision. All right, thank you. This has been amazing. God, you can't drop that as the one more thing. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so, and I don't even care if the rumors are just rumors. The fact that they buried. They go up front and they're like, no blue sky, shovels in dirt, everything's in production, but yet then they tiptoe around where these attractions are going, knowing full well where they're going. It feels like this weird, you can't have your cake and eat it too, guys.
Well, have you even said what's happening? Like there might be people listening to this that don't even know what's going. I mean, they probably do. Everybody that listens to Fun knows what's going on.
We talked about it. The tale of two cities. Nathan set it up. We have at one side of things, they're like, make this a national monument. And the other side of things, Disney's like, we're going to close this bad boy.
We might close this bad boy.
What they did is they announced they're going to make a Monsters Inc. land, and they're going to make the door coaster that we all dreamed about. Like when we saw that movie, we were like, we want to go to Walt Disney World and we want to ride the doors. And Josh D'Amaro was like, we're going to let you ride the doors. Here's the concept art. You're not actually riding the doors. You're riding a roller coaster through the door vault. I don't know why.
No. It's actually genius. And Nathan picked up on this and made a note of it in our D23 podcast breakdown. Thanks for 1,000 listens, everybody. He picked up on the fact that the ride vehicles have scream canisters above your heads. So your screams as you ride the roller coaster are powering the ride. That is so clever, but it's not smart enough that it's worth bulldozing Muppet Vision.
Wait. Okay, before we get to the negative, I want to turn this fun into more fun. So look at this concept art. Look at this concept art. How great this is. There's the person with the ice cream cone with the googly eyes on it. There's Harryhausen in the background. Are we going to get to eat there? There's like people
do we get a man wearing a monster as an infant.
Yeah, do we get a Bjorn a monster?
Chest?
Do we get to buy Bjorns?
They're selling Funko Loungefly here. They've got a whole Loungefly store, right?
I think so. I think you're going to be able to adopt your own monster and stuff like that. Kind of like the
promise that I am not going to be taken to a Monsters Black site by those like yellow rubber suit things by being a human in Monstropolis. I'm a little concerned about that. All right.
But I'll tell you this. I just recently came back from China where I went to Zootopia in Shanghai, Disneyland. And Zootopia, this reminds me of like what they did with Zootopia. It's going to be full of photo ops. It's going to be full of fun gags. And it's like stuff that I think Dan can appreciate. Like me and Dan are on like the same level of like loving these things in the background if you examine it. They might even have puppets on the second level, maybe. Who knows?
There's definitely ripe for that kind of stuff. But
I think we all
need to get rid of old puppets for new puppets?
Right. I think we all agree that this is a good idea. Like, I don't think that's
100%.
an issue at all. I think the issue is, of course, this piece of concept art. From what we're gathering, too, is it's from 2020. So it's old concept art.
This piece in particular, yes. This is old concept. Peter sent me the tweet earlier.
I think it's from Blog Mickey or something. They discovered that this is from 2020. And I was like, for a second there, I was like, oh my God, sigh of relief. This is old concept art. And then a few seconds went by after I sent you the tweet, and I was like, if the Disney company hated the Muppets in 2020 and it's almost 5 years later, they probably hate the Muppets even more because they haven't made them any money in those 5 years.
Yeah,
their TV show failed. I was like, so this isn't that doesn't say anything that is from 2020, I think.
Wow, actually, that's such a good point, Peter. Yeah, this is it's even more dangerous.
Hey, Peter, what happened to that? You're bringing the fun into fun.
Thanks, Peter.
Well, look at the googly eyes on the ice cream.
Oh, look at the googly eyes on the ice cream. There they are. Oh, yeah, that's so silly. The question is, I see a monster in a Bjorn there, but then I also see a woman pushing a stroller in the background. Is there a monster in that too? These are the questions that I have. So you go there and rent a monster baby for childless monster millennials. Can't wait.
Yeah, no, this is fun.
Peter, when I go to your SlashFilm bio, it's literally you with Kermit and Piggy.
Yes, right, so by the way, I no longer work at SlashFilm. I created SlashFilm. That is from the set of the Muppets.
Then why do you still have a bio on the website, Peter?
Because there's articles I wrote that are still on the website. No, I'm just
kidding. because he doesn't have yet a statue of him by the SlashFilm castle holding the mascot.
But that is one of the best days of my life when I got to visit the set of the Muppets. I got to interview Kermit, Miss Piggy. I got to talk to them. It was.
Now, why was it the best day of your life, Peter? Tell me.
Because I love the Muppets. The Muppets to me are like everything.
They're everything, aren't they? Yeah. Yes. What was it like talking to Kermit and like Piggy directly? Like to see them in your face and to have a moment.
And I know Dan knows this because he's has a whole lifetime of puppeteering. But there's a guy there with his hand up the butt of these puppets, and you're watching them do it, and like you go up there to like interview him. You're like, how am I supposed to be talking to Kermit when there's a guy that the minute he like starts talking, the guy disappears. Just magic, Disney magic, just disappears, and Kermit's just there talking to you. I don't know. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible.
What's your history?
By the way, do you know on the set they have these closets? Do you know about this?
Where they store all the Muppets?
Yeah, they can't have a Muppet. It's not allowed to have a Muppet on like a table.
Yeah, no dead Muppets.
Because they look dead if you're just like laying them on the table. So they have to hide them in this black closet.
Yeah, they don't mind showing puppets in storage. That is technically okay depending on the context of the story. as someone who's done a lot, I've been a puppeteer for a long time. It is fascinating what they will and won't allow to happen. And a really good case study is Avenue Q does not care. And so for the longest time, you could kind of compare social media from one to the other while they were both kind of going on. And you'd see the puppets in plastic bags hanging on racks, looking like they've been suffocated, and they don't care. It's pretty great.
Peter, how far back
It's
does your
disturbing.
Muppets love go? What was the first film for you?
I mean, I don't think it was the films. I think it was Muppet Babies. When I was a kid, I watched Muppet Babies. Right. I then watched the Muppets
Who was your
Live or
favorite
Muppet
Muppet
Babies
baby?
Live. Oh my God, that's too. I can't pick. I can't choose.
I mean, only one says
choose.
go. Only one says go. Bye bye.
In the last, I'm not exactly sure. In one episode, I said that Nathan's my scooter, and he got offended, and then ultimately accepted the role. So, do you?
I love Beaker for some reason. Something just so simple and fun about Beaker.
I thought you'd be more of a Dr. Bunsen Honeydew guy with all your neon green.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know.
Slap a bald cap on you, paint you green like Elphaba, and send you to Mickey's Not So Scary, babe, in a lab jacket. You'd be crushing, man. Everyone would be loving taking selfies with you.
That's going to be my costume for next year.
Right, and you just wear your green glasses; they just blend in, so it just looks like
Dan's going as Sweetums, so that gives you an idea.
I am.
By the way, did you know that there's a secret Sweetums meet and greet at Hollywood Studios?
Don't
the
tell
only
people
way
this,
to get
Peter,
it.
because tell people how to
tell
get
people
it.
because it could be gone soon.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. This was the best kept secret.
No, I've never been able to do this because I couldn't afford to do this. But if you get a VIP tour, you can ask the VIP tour guide if you can meet Sweetums, and they will make it happen. They'll actually arrange a meet and greet with Sweetums. I've seen my friends. So jealous.
That's amazing.
have photos with Sweetums. Yeah.
And you're jealous because the attraction means a great deal to you, and an experience like that would be iconic. Okay, great. So what you're trying to say is that it's definitely something that should stick around, the Muppets.
The other thing about this attraction is because Disney has done such a poor job with the Muppets since... By the way, I think they had these shorts on YouTube that were funny and hilarious around.
The shorts are incredible. They're created by Kirk Thatcher, the guy who directed Muppets Wizard of Oz and who wrote Muppets Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. And he's actually the basis of Ghost of Christmas Present. Kirk Thatcher is incredible. He's in the Star Trek movies.
Yeah, love
that guy.
He gets pulsed
he's the guy.
Neck thumbed.
The guy gets pinched by Spock he's the punk on a bus. That guy made those Muppets YouTube shorts, and those were incredible. Incredible.
And then the Jason Segel film, incredible. And I think everything since then has been kind of like downhill in my mind. I mean,
quality wise or box office wise?
Just like, you know what? That's unfair because the Disney Plus TV series with the Mayhem was good. Just no one watched it.
I actually had a lot of fun with that show.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's like, one of the highest rated things on Disney Plus, actually, like in terms of Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. It's just like they have failed us in so many ways. Disney has failed us with the Muppets in so many ways that I feel like the only gateway drug for little kids to get into the Muppets is Muppet Vision 3D. Mm-hmm. Now,
right.
And if
Christmas
they take
Carol,
that away,
I feel like.
Oh, so that's an interesting thing, Peter, because if that's the comparison we want to make, then let's think about Hanna-Barbera's Toon universe at Universal Studios, where it was another iconic piece of childhood nostalgia for an entire generation or two. You know what I mean? That was this throwback thing that was the last thing that was kind of chuckle worthy that came from the studio that honored your classic attractions, your classic stories, and yet it had to die. It had to die. For Minions Mayhem, so that Minions could fart bananas in my mouth. That's not true. Jimmy
did it first.
Jimmy Neutron's cartoon fart
not
blast.
Not that Jimmy, the other Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then there was the other Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Speaking of
Dan,
Nicktoon Blast.
Oh, what is
there
he
you go.
Oh yeah, baby. I just got it in the mail. I'm like John Cusack in that one movie, but it's Nickelodeon. This thing is and it still works.
But Dan, they got rid of the Flintstones from the parks, and their popularity has soared since then. Oh wait, no, it hasn't.
Wait.
Right.
Well,
Well,
disappeared from culture.
Let's make a point of this. Actually, there was a really good comic book series that took them seriously. Highly recommend that Flintstones comic.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Incredible. But beyond that, the weird thing about what your comparison is, Dan, is we're talking Universal, right? Which is Universal's thing is like, enjoy, it's cool, flamethrower. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Disney has
right.
a consistent legacy of picking a couple rides per park, theoretically, and saying these are just here. Like we might toy with them, we might mess with them, but they're here. And I think Muppet Vision now, because of so much turnover in studios, at 33 years, it's like the only thing. It's not from it came a little later than opening, but it's still that sort of first gen MGM Studios feel. And
it wasn't opening day. It wasn't an opening day attraction because of legal troubles. But, it was.
Can I read a quote real quick from Jim Henson by Brian J. Jones?
Sure.
The quote is from Jim himself, and he says,
"Mo money, mo problems."
Mo money. Yeah. No, it says. Okay, here it is. Looking way back down the road to when I stopped sitting in my rocking chair and working Kermit the Frog, I really like the idea of characters living on in Disney parks. It's a wonderful future for these characters. It's as close to an eternal life as a little green frog can get.
Whoa. So it's like Walt saying, this place is my tomb. Don't touch it.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like the dude, the thing that the people don't realize about Henson is like he was a parks nerd. Like he was at Epcot early on.
He did like the parks.
He loved the parks. And he was more interested, I think, in being in the parks with his characters than he was like having his movies distributed by Disney in many ways. I mean, he certainly seems to have thought that. And
and it's so funny because I think some of the best stuff the Muppets have done has actually been in the parks. Everything from Here Comes the Muppets Mobile Lab, Great Moments in History, even Sam Eagle's barbecue joint, and like when the Muppets took over the Odyssey Quest for like the Wing Lab. Like these things are successful and they're fun and they're charming. Like the Muppets work so well in the park. What are we sleeping on? I don't get it.
I like how we're just quiet because we're all like, we don't have an answer.
Here's
like three guys sitting around smoking a cigarette at the end of a funeral, like in a parking lot.
But here's the weird thing. When we came, I think right before the pandemic, they replaced our Muppet Vision 3D here at Disney California Adventure. They replaced it with PhilharMagic.
Yeah, the much-needed, highly anticipated PhilharMagic.
Which, by the way, if like I don't hate PhilharMagic, but like I don't think anybody's coming out of PhilharMagic being like, let's watch some Donald Duck. Like it's not selling anything. It doesn't sell anything. People come out of a Muppet Vision 3D and they're like, who are like if they're a little kid, they're like, let's go get a Muppet toy. Let's go watch, these Muppet movies. The parent can show like it really is a gateway into some stuff that Disney can sell. I think financially having the Muppets in the park is a smart idea as opposed to PhilharMagic, which doesn't seem to please anybody.
Well, and over in Hollywood Studios, they never have them. Well, if either the Muppet store has been closed or there's no Muppet stuff in the Muppet store. I mean, it is this sort of physical representation of like, we don't even really care to try to sell this anymore. To just fully, to take your exit at your gift shop at the exit and be like, but we don't have anything from the, like, nah. Like, it's a wild thing to do for Disney. It's so off brand to not sell the thing that you have.
Yeah. And especially to an audience that has such a niche, like, you know, you're still pumping out like other weird toys, like from Dinosaur, for crying out loud. And yet like the Muppets don't have their own line, at least theme park line, beyond like, oh, we can custom order a magic band at like that one store, you know, at Disney Springs, or we can order a t-shirt off of Vistaprint with the Muppets on it. Whoop-de-doo, you know?
Why is that? There must be some kind of reason. There must be like a percentage of anything sold Muppets has to go to the Henson family or something. So they're like, we're going to lose more money selling. I don't know. There must be something. But you say that,
but at the same time, the Imagineering goes so hard every D23 with a bunch of exclusive Muppets merch.
Yeah.
So like they're clearly designing and producing this stuff, guys. It's not like no one's paying attention. The last 3 D23s that I have been to or have been aware of, and then the one that I skipped, all had Muppet stuff for sale at the cons, like by Imagineering. And I think people who don't know should know that Imagineering has control of the Muppets now. The Muppets are like a partnership with Imagineering. Disney didn't know what to do with them. They eventually just threw them over to Imagineering. It's like, here, you try something, which is why for a hot minute you saw like Joe, Rhodey, and Kermit co-posting on Instagram and stuff like that. There was some real weird stuff going on for a couple minutes with the Muppets and the good old days. But Imagineering has the Muppets, and Imagineering makes a lot of the park merch. It is a weird blind spot, to your point, Peter. Like, what is going on?
It also doesn't make sense to me to build Monsters, Inc. over in the Muppets courtyard, because to me, if you think just from a financial point of view, not creatively, the reason to make these announcements is Disney wants to increase capacity. They want to sell more tickets, make more money. They want to have more people on rides. They can sell more. It's not called Genie Plus anymore. What is it called? Multi-Pass or something?
Sure.
They want to sell more Multi-Pass. And the reason to do that is to build things in places that don't have rides so that they can, like, you know, building a Cars Land where Rivers America makes sense because you basically can sell thousands of more tickets a day, sell, you know, hundreds of more multi-passes,
increase capacity by a big fold, and also open up the doors for other rides going away and changing. Like the fact that we're going to have like drivable cars, like off-road ride, really opens up the door for Autopia closing, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like lots of big smart moves there, you know, where here, what's the big smart move here?
Now, I know a lot of people don't go into Muppet Vision 3D. Like, I get it. Even like it's like an AC place to escape. Like, it's still not like turning out, you know, 1,200 people an hour. Man.
Every time I'm in there, it is got a decent crowd in it every single time I've ridden it.
I think people
probably not like 1,200 people.
I think,
it's especially in this park. It is definitely a once a day visit because, like, what else do you do here?
It's the problem is that it's such a big theater and there's so much throughput that it can feel small, I think. But if you look at the artwork or the map concept here too, like to get rid of Monsters Incorporated, or to get rid of this and put in Monsters Incorporated, like if I look at the artwork for the model, even I don't think. You'd have to take away, I guess, some parking lot. You'd have to take away Mama Melrose. You have to take
Star Tours.
I think Star Tours would have to completely go. So the only way to make Monsters Inc. work is you have to gut. And if they're going to take out Star Tours, they're going to take out, what's that dining facility there that I always forget exists? The back lot.
Yeah, that like backstage, by Indiana Jones.
Right.
I don't know if it'll actually go that far, and I could see Star Tours maybe staying with a huge fake city wall built like right alongside of it with Tatooine Alley going away or something. Because it's like they would need as much space as humanly possible, you know?
Yeah.
But they need that store. They need to sell Star Wars branded merch, and they can't do that in Batuu. But my thing is, this is a park that has a ton of empty space. I know there's offices over there, but if you go to Launch Bay and Animation Courtyard, if you built it there, you're replacing nothing. It's entirely new capacity there. And you could sell tons more. Like, you're not replacing capacity. Like, even if you replace the Muppet Vision and you don't replace Star Tours, which I think you would have to replace both of them, to be honest with you, with the scale of that.
So.
Like, you're only gaining a couple hundred guests per hour in capacity. Like, it's not really worth it. It seems more worth it to build it over in animation. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you got that big courtyard. It really feels like the two pieces of concept art we saw, the one from 2020 felt very clearly Muppet Vision, and the other one from the other angle that had the courtyard with like the Sully playground and whatnot felt very much the animation courtyard design with like, you know, Disney Junior play and dance going away. But with the Voyage of the Little Mermaid probably still staying because they just did a serious investment there. They divested in Disney Junior a long time ago by dropping out all the puppets and just making it costume characters. And so they're really the infrastructure. It's just become this place to throw new Disney Junior characters, and they could do that anywhere. So this space feels like the right space to do. And meeting Chewbacca, meeting Darth Vader, whatever, you know, like just put him in Batuu already, for crying out loud.
Yeah. The issue, as you mentioned, that we sort of hear about is this concept that Voyage of the Little Mermaid has to stay. So that ruins it. I don't really know how it ruins it, because if I remember right, you don't enter from the courtyard side anyway to Voyage. Like,
no, you exit out the back.
Right, but that's fine. Like you just make the side, the right side of that theater monsters themed, and you move the entrance a little farther back to the left, and you're kind of golden. Like, it's fine to do. I think it's not enough space. I think getting rid of that would be smart. I think I don't know. I didn't go see Disney Junior. Can you put a Harryhausen's in Disney Junior? Like, I know they want to sit down.
It's just a big warehouse. Warehouse.
Probably.
With bathrooms. So, and it's attached to the back of Brown Derby. So 100%. It's got a kitchen.
My question is, could you relocate the laugh floor? Like the actual, you know, that thing in Magic Kingdom where it's like the comedy show.
This is the out of the box thing that I've heard from someone else on Twitter said it, which is, take Muppet Vision and put it in Laugh Floor and get rid of Laugh Floor, or bring it over here to Disney Junior.
Laugh Floor is such a great crowd working thing,
I think it is, but if you move Laugh Floor to Disney Junior, right, you're utilizing basically the same setup. It's a screen kind of, it's a stage in front in a sit down area, and all you've got to do with Muppet Vision is it's already Muppet Labs heavy, and you just treat it that way. And it's the Muppet Labs inside of Tomorrowland, and they're presenting Muppet Vision, and then you can still have it. Now, will they do it? No, because that's a ton of work to move. Like, we're not going to move a bunch of animated penguins over to Magic. Like, they're not going to do it, but
yeah,
it is thematically smart in the sense that it gives you not something new, but something different, at least over in Tomorrowland, which currently is, boy, man, we go back to talk about D23, like, poor Tomorrowlands all over the world. Just no Tomorrowlands.
Yeah.
Forget about them.
You know, to your point, Nathan, it actually checks boxes, because if you think about it, we have Tron now behind Tomorrowland. We have Toy Story has its own land. You have now Monsters Inc.'s going to get its own land. Stitch is closed. It really stages Tomorrowland to be almost like leveled. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of, we can justify moving or changing or getting rid of everything over in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland now, because it's all everywhere else. There's a Cars ride over there. You can drive cars around. You can go do Monsters Inc. You can go do Toy Story. We're going to close Autopia. You know, like, we're going to just start doing stuff over there. You know, like, who knows what.
We're going to put Sunny in Batuu, call it a day. Which I would say,
Sunny Eclipse,
I have no issue with that at all. That would work for me.
Just replace him with Hondo when Smuggler's Run takes over. When Mando takes over Smuggler's Run, you know. So it's Sunny Eclipse and Mandalorian, and the Grogu is actually Sunny Eclipse's uncle, a niece or nephew or whatever, you know, because they actually look suspiciously similar now that I'm thinking about it. And
I'm not going to think about it anymore. I think that's a insane thing.
What do you think is going to happen, Peter? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, if I had the reins, if I had the choice, I'd build it over an animation courtyard. I would build it over there. I would move Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor over there. Makes sense, because, like, it would make more sense to have a land have two attractions than just one. And like you said,
absolutely.
I think you laid it out with like that really does allow for a whole renovation of Tomorrowland.
Yeah. It also enables them to close Monsters, Inc. and Disney California Adventure and level it for Pandora or whatever. Like, it lets them just say like, oh yeah, we're shuffling around brands. All of our iconic attractions, all of our iconic brands still have attractions, but like just in different places now.
Yeah, but also they can move some of those figures over to Walt Disney World to reuse there.
Guaranteed that's happening.
We're going to get that Drew Carey with the tickets. He's going to show up in the laugh floor.
And if this does happen, that they're going to take Monsters, Inc. ride elements that were previously Superstar Limo and bring them over to Hollywood Studios that was previously MGM, some kind of strange, like, Eisner seance happens and he comes back to life. He's not dead, but, like, he's reborn like Voldemort. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes full circle. Yeah. It would be truly an iconic moment to have Drew Carey's headless torso still wiggling around in an attraction that Eisner built to make his teenager think he was cool. You know, like, what kind of world are we living in? This is amazing.
Oh man. Oh boy. Should we I'm curious, Dan, we wanted to talk about if Muppet Vision should be a museum piece or not, or if Henson would even want that.
I have a question for you guys. Would you be against them adding a second show to Muppet Theater? Like a new Muppet Vision?
No, as long as it's rotating.
Yeah.
No, and actually, I wouldn't be against them doing a gimmick where the monsters take over Muppet Vision, and it's and we get like a seasonal Muppet Vision overlay, like the Muppets take back over for a certain time of year, like every 4th of July or something, like the summertime, the Muppets take the theater back. I have no idea, but like to share the space. Yeah, I made that joke on Twitter about like putting a Mike Wazowski animatronic like on the stage of Muppet Vision, just have him like riff it, like riff tracks, you know what I mean? Or Mystery Science Theater being like, all right, you guys think this is funny? What? Let me see what's funny about this, you know, or just something. I don't know. Anything.
That is like a layer, like 4 meta layers deep at that point.
Yeah, but that's exactly what theme parks are built for, is meta layers. I don't know. Yeah, it could totally share the space, Peter. I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
By the way, one of my favorite tweets to come out of this was the ghost from Muppets Christmas Carol, and like it was a picture of them, and someone was like, "These guys are visiting Bob Iger tonight." Yeah. It's like.
Too true. True. I think I mean, I've always wanted a seasonal overlay for Christmas. They're so Christmas heavy there. They're using the Muppets inside of the, whatchamacallit now? What is it? The Holly, whatever it's called.
Jollywood Nights?
Jollywood Nights. I was like stuck.
Oh, yeah. And let's just take a moment to say that the Muppets are freaking hosting Jollywood Night. What do you mean you're going to close their ride and like undermine the investments because you know they're not going to change anything about Jollywood for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like they invested in one script that's supposed to last for 20 years. That show with Kermit and Piggy and Tiana is going to happen every Christmas for the next, you know.
But Dan, this is something that you and I have discussed off mic, which is I'm a firm believer that one of the big issues with Disney and the Muppets is that the Muppets now are officially back to selling Wilkins coffee. They are officially just brand representatives for the parks.
Yeah.
Jollywood Nights.
Yeah, we have turned them into just commercials.
Jollywood
again.
Nights is a brand that the Muppets need to sell, right? They used to do the charity stuff for Disney. Muppets Haunted Mansion is selling Haunted Mansion, not Muppets. It's this constant use of the Muppets like they used to be used of, you know, hey, and I think it's also kind of risen because they're in Imagineering now, and Imagineering's like, well, we could talk about it, or we could have the Muppets talk about it. And I think we'd always want the Muppets to talk about it. But they literally hosted that panel a couple years ago, not D23, but the whatever it was called.
They hosted a D23 panel with Christmas Carol.
But
I was
they
there.
did like what was
amazing.
the thing that they did a couple years ago where they were like the literal like the interstitial parts between announcements from Josh D'Amaro and stuff. Do you remember that? They were like,
oh yes, I do. It was a Destination D23.
That's what it
wasn't it?
Yeah. And all of that. So I mean that's kind of the problem here, right? Is like Disney doesn't want to sell them; they just want to use them to sell Disney. It seems like. That seems to be the big problem.
Yeah. Product placement brought to you by the Muppets.
I don't think that could be a good thing. Like if it was done properly. Like I once had this pitch for we have the Hyperion Theater here in Disney California Adventure. It's been sitting closed for over a year now. And my pitch was, Avengers Campus is right next door. Why don't you have the Muppet Show in there? And the special guest stars are the Avengers.
Oh,
so
each
they'll have shows, like they could just have the kid and have a show with, a bunch of Muppets and like
Miss Piggy
Thor
tonight.
And things go wrong and they're trying to put on a show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like that would get
noises
people
off with the Muppets and Marvel. That's an insane pitch, Peter, but I love it.
But it would get people that like these little kids that love Marvel.
Yeah, you're right.
They would get them to love these guys, and it's synergy in the way it should work.
Yeah, I want there to be synergy in the parks, but I fear that I will die before that happens. Mm-hmm. So I want there to be a great synergy, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Which brings me back to like, do they even know the value of what they have? Like Muppet Vision in terms of like, is it this thing that should be saved? Is it this thing that should be a museum piece? What do you think, Peter, about turning... Because there are a lot of film sites out there. There are national historical landmarks that are film and entertainment based. It's not insane.
Theme park based even.
Theme park based even, right. Like from carousels to certain haunted houses. Like there are national landmarks all over the place. Mar-a-Lago is a national landmark. The bathroom that stored America's secrets and farts is a landmark. Why can't Muppet Vision and Gonzo's toilets be a landmark?
Well, here's the thing. This was one of the weird things that came out of Disneyland Forward is we learned that the Hungry Bear restaurant in Disneyland is considered a historic landmark is what it's considered. But we've just heard recently they're going to be redoing that into the Hungry Bear barbecue jamboree and making renovations and stuff. So being a landmark doesn't even prevent something like that from happening.
Whoa, Peter, mic drop.
Well, and it's because, right,
sadly.
like it's the difference between so if you have like a carousel, right, like that is a piece of architecture and design that can be like, you can't, like, this is the thing. And then you also have like, I don't know, let's say a castle in Miami. There's a couple of those, like huge mansions or whatever, and they're very old and they become national monuments or national historic sites. And they're like, well, you can have your wedding here, but you can't really do anything with it. We're not really saying, and I don't think the suggestion is like, I mean, the problem is you have historical sites, which is a physical space, and we don't really care about the building, right? If they said, "Don't worry, Muppet Vision is getting moved over to Tomorrowland," we'd go, "Fine." Like we care about Muppet Vision, not the building. And the other issue is it's not just a film, right? Because we could say, "Oh, well, this needs to be put into the National Archives or the Congress has got to call this a thing of importance and put it in the archive." Well, it can't be that either because it's not just a movie. So I don't know know if you can save like for historical purposes something like this.
That's the problem with theme parks, and I think that's why your friend Kevin created Defunct Land. Is like these things are momentary. They're like they're not going to last forever, and they're interesting. Unlike movies, in that there's not a aftermarket way to experience these things. Even if we, like you said, we could experience Muppet Vision 3D. Even if I could watch it in 3D on my projector, I'm not seeing the penguins. There's the Squeedum's not running out. There's it's not the same experience. Like there's no way to experience that other than there. I've always said that like I wish there was a place we could retire things from the parks and it could be a museum. Like I wish Hall of Presidents is number one thing. Like it doesn't seem like Disney wants the Hall of Presidents to be there anymore, but it's prime real estate to have something there. But like they can't get rid of it. It would be cool if we could get Hall of Presidents to go to that one of the museums in Washington, D.C. would pay.
Yeah, put it in the Smithsonian.
Put it in the Smithsonian to relocate that so it could live on forever in the way
And sign a contract for the next 50 years to keep building robots.
No, totally.
Have it be
it's
like
a tax write-off. Like, just say, we will help maintain this.
That's such a wise thing, Peter, to be like, move it to DC, toss it in the Smithsonian, and then have a tax write-off where we just keep building them.
Yeah.
You keep electing them, we'll keep building them. That's the agreement, okay?
But even if you don't keep building them, even if the cutoff is here,
right,
people would go there for years and years to come. Like, I feel like that's not anything that could live on there forever. I could literally see that attraction live on at the Smithsonian for all of time. Like, there would be no reason.
It's like the beginning of Gilligan's Island. It's just, and Joe Biden and the rest.
I think it's also got to be worth saying that, like, when Muppet Vision closed in California Adventure, they gutted and trashed a lot of the stuff in there, and there is some gorgeous architecture. All those marble carvings of the Muppets above each doorway, the Muppet Vision signage above the stage, and everything from the penguins to the Swedish Chef to the huge contraption that's on the back wall that is the projector booth, and the pre-show area is stuffed with all kinds of personality and character.
Have you seen that pre-show area now?
Yeah, California.
I was just in there a couple.
It is so depressing.
Not California.
It is so devoid of, the one in California is so devoid. You're this had so much personality. There were so many props. There were so many things. It's so depressing.
I got 2 of the props, baby.
You do?
If you read the Rap article, and by the way, thanks for outing me as being the owner of these. I guess nothing's off the record, is it, with you, journalist Peter?
Don't blame me.
Did you say they off the record? You didn't say off the record, Dan.
No. I'm not hiding it. I've talked about it before, but I have 2 of the Dr. Teeth road cases from the pre-show of Disneyland California Adventures Muppet Vision, and they're iconic. The whole area is so iconic, and you even have Kermit's tuxedo from the Oscars there now, right? And you have there's just so much lore and legacy, but to your point, everything dies, I guess. Everything dies, I guess, Peter. Thanks, man. Thanks for being I guess everything is meant to be remembered, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, I would love if they're we're going to take this over to All-Star Movies and build a little theater and it's going to run for another 20 years or something. But I don't know. To Peter's point, I think that Disney doesn't care. They just don't care when it comes to printing money. It's what's profitable, what's going to move. And you can sign your petitions, you can try your best, but it's not going to change anything. Also, it takes 3 to 5 years to make something a national landmark. It's a whole process. If you guys cared this much about the ride, you've already would have done this. All right. You would have already got the Secretary of the Interior, and the presidential's cabinet, because that's what it takes to step up and be all right, let's stamp this thing as let's save it. I just found that because I'm researching the video, but seriously, it's not just something that happens overnight. You have to petition and make these things iconic and recognized. So it's already too late, guys. The only people that are going to save this attraction are the people at Disney. And I think I have hope, actually, maybe it's fool's hope, that the pendulum is swinging in the direction of they're not going to take the Muppets away. That's what I'm hearing. Tom Corliss is on his show being hey guys, it's not going away. Trust me. And so, but also then you have Mickey Views being they're setting the explosive charges right now.
By the way,
it's the villain from Speed.
What has happened to Braden? Braden used to be the most positive. He was all about the
he's
future
an
of the company.
Vlogger, and my man. That'll take you down like a cheese grater. I mean, it's just over time.
I love him, I love him, and I love watching his channel. And he has so much great information, but he seems to become so disillusioned with the company, and I'm so sad because
I do think that moving to Florida really ruins people's it really lays bare, and there's no more illusion anymore. There's no more escapism.
Yeah.
It's that terrible movie Escape from Tomorrowland or whatever. Once you're there, you can't get out. You know what I mean? The mindset changes a little bit, and it happens. It happens to a lot of people.
You can't get out, Dan. I got out. I hopped a train.
Well,
I had my little sack. And I made it out. I did it.
And you hoboed out of Orlando?
No, but what we've always said about Orlando is it's Detroit, except you can't move the tire factory. Like there's no, like it is a industry town beyond industry town. And I think,
wow, it's Detroit, but you can't move the tire factory. Shee! That's a that's a phrase. That's a thing.
It's true. And I think that if you're there too long and you see the industry part of theme park industry, it's. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. Like it's like L.A. Like people go in and they're all like shining stars.
I don't know, like. There are answers to this. Do you know Paging Mr. Morrow and Nate? He's lived in Florida so he seems like the happiest dude ever. Every time he comes into a theme park, it seems like it's the best of his life.
Now, the question though, and no shade on anybody who does what they do, but what gets you more clicks, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I guess Dan's got to decide what kind of pragmatic realism he wants to stand on his podcast when it comes to talking shit. But the bottom line is that a lot of people, and I respect it, and you cannot tell me that he doesn't know that he's doing it, because I know what I'm doing when I choose the thumbnails and the titles of my videos and write them. Like, I know what I'm doing, and it's fine, because some people can only receive news if it's sensationalized. I get it. Honestly, I thought about it in my mind for a long time. It's not just his sensationalism. It is running rampant now. Like, people are really cashing in on sensationalizing Disney. It's a lot of people. And it's kind of like that, your audience, what do they want from you and what are you going to give them? And you go a little bit in this direction and they respond very well, like very well. Suddenly your audience is like, hey, I love what you're saying. I used to really care about what you're saying, but now I'm really hearing it. I'm feeling seen because people, there are a lot of people that feel abused by the system of their Disney vacation now. I get it.
100%.
I get it. It has become a nickel and dime game, and it always was that. But in this economy, I can't believe I'm saying this. In this economy, you know what I mean? Like,
especially when you can't move the tire factory.
Can't move the tire.
You can't move the tire factory, right? Yeah. And
I want to read. This is from, and she put it online, so it's public, so I don't mind talking about it. It's at Bunny Wars on X, Elon's X. She was talking about D23, and I think this lays in exactly with what you're talking about, Dan. She says, I know this isn't a new sentiment, but when it comes to the company as a whole, there is an overwhelming feeling that I'm just a little lab rat in a glass enclosure, constantly being poked and prodded to see what elicits a reaction and why. Everything just feels so calculated. The manipulation to my emotions feels like I'm taking part in a science experiment I didn't sign up for. The insincerity is honestly becoming hard to bear. The company as a whole, the parks, the expo, it just feels disgustingly corporate. I'm highly aware that we all live and die under capitalism, and money grubbing is to be expected from huge corporations. What is beginning to bother me is how much it's capitalizing on things like beloved childhood memories and emotional responses, if that makes any sense, right? So they're being very honest, like, hey man, these things are manipulating me in a very specific way, and I understand that, and props for them for putting that up there. But I think that's what you're talking about, is like this idea of like, it's just this constant feel of like, we have these emotional connections and we need our news from specific areas, because if we just rely on the corporation, then they're literally studying us to see what we're going to do. And look, we know the country, we know that they react to response, because like if they didn't react to response, Woody's Roundup would be currently opening at Frontierland and Magic Kingdom instead of Country Bears. Like, we just know that's the fact. And I think that's the hard thing is this. I think that there are certain things that we can kind of like live or die with. And when you finally have like there's only one little Muppet thing left, right? Anywhere in the world, it's like this thing. And it's like, just don't touch the last bastion of this part of endorphin making things in my brain. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But we talked to the computer, and the computer says that if we tear this down, we will make $35 million more dollars next year. So goodbye, Muppets.
Dario,
and that's That's so, when you read the articles and if you were to believe the rumors that that the suggestion being that the management of Disney is more concerned with their public image than delivering actual truths of the news. They're more concerned about announcing new rides, but not facing the boos or the displeasure of what they're going to close to make that happen. It really makes me sad that the guys that are running the parks now are into how gelled their hair is, you know what I mean? And how faded their beard is or whatever, or what their sweater's cashmere or not. And they're not a bunch of neurodivergent weirdos who love hot rods and boats and model trains and chain smoking and overeating, chili and cold hot dogs. They're all not just huddled in a garage, laughing at each other while they build weird animatronics of it's just corporate bros have
Tech
snuck
bros.
in to be boop, boop, boop. Yeah. Finance bros, tech bros, all of the bros have snuck in. And
I do think
where are the neurodivergent weirdos?
There
is all
would
I'm
be
saying.
no. First of all, there would be no Disney at all anymore if not for corporate media bros like Michael Eisner, who came in and was like,
"Sure,
you literally need to make money." So there's that.
Right,
Peter, please. Sorry,
but I do think there still is neurodivergent weirdos running these things. You look at Scott Trowbridge. Sure, I'm not sure if you know anything about his history, but he is fascinated with magic. He goes to the Magic Castle. He had a electronic vehicle, I think 25 years ago, before there was anybody.
What does this guy do for the company?
I mean, he's the head of I don't know what his title is. Trowbridge.
Does he make any decisions, Peter, is my question.
He does make decisions, but yeah, he's given a budget. So by people that
Peter. So here we go.
But
portfolio. He's portfolio creative executive.
I don't know that
at Imagineering.
I don't know if Josh has any weird hobbies or if Iger has any weird hobbies, but you'd have to assume they must, right?
Sunbathing on his yacht is what Iger gets
I just
up to
assume
these days.
Iger goes into his mansion, and it's empty, and there's one chair, and and he
Kanye.
sits in that. He
Kanye
goes and he
Kim's
sits
house.
in the chair, and then the next day is time to go to work, and then he gets back up and goes to work. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, you know what?
Do you
go
think-
ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No, you know what? What?
I think we got to turn this thing around. We have it is fun, sad at the moment, and we need to at least make it fun, sad, fun. And I want to know some fun stuff. I want to know your favorite moments in Muppet Vision. I want to know what you would love to see the Muppets do next, if you could do it in the parks, and what else you would love what you love Muppets related. We gotta turn this around and end it on a happier note.
Okay. My favorite moment of Muppet Vision is easily when the pie floats over and smashes Fozzie in the face. The cut, the special effect, and also I can't not stop wondering about how they're going to get all that cream out of that fur. I love that moment. It makes me laugh every time. I love it so much. And I also truly love when the penguins become weaponized. It's such an iconic moment when the cannon rises from the orchestra pit. I love it so much. It's such a great show. What I don't love is when I've clearly walked into the queue 45 seconds after the door has closed on the next showing, and I know I'm going to be there for 12 minutes.
I disagree.
I wish there was a big countdown. Okay, there are times for it, but I just wish there was a big countdown outside. It's like ding dong, the next showing,
way
like
outside.
how Country
Way
Bears
outside.
does.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
Peter, what do you think?
I just love all the stuff that's practical that's going on. I love Statler and Waldorf. I love the penguins. I love all the puppets. The Muppets were made to be animatronics. You don't even have to spend all the money for the expensive the Muppets
were made as animatronics. I mean, that's what they were.
Yeah.
A lot of them, a lot of rigging. You know, specifically like the Kermit on the end of the fire truck, for crying out loud. Like, they're animatronics in the movie, not just in the show.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of animatronics, and from the Fraggles to the Doozers to everything in between, they've been using like NASA space-aged like servos to like be this tiny and like operate tiny little crazy things. And so you're right. Like, Muppets animatronics are iconic. Like, why aren't we? Why? But no one cares about the Muppets
Dan,
anymore. I guess.
say we got to end this happily. All right. So
okay.
Here's
Sorry.
the thing. Okay, I have two. Do I have three? I have two. My favorite is not in the actual show. It's in the pre-show, and it is it's literally the name or connected to the name of my other podcast, Rat Castle. I love when Sam the Eagle is like, oh my gosh, like Mickey Mouse. And then like Rizzo comes out in that Mickey Mouse outfit and he's just like, da, 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 da. It always gets a laugh. It's always funny. And like, you are not Mickey Mouse. You are a rat is the funniest line. Like, it's so good. And then it's not a line in the show. It is a reaction. So when after Statler and Waldorf say like, put on your glasses, Statler, or whatever. And then the lady below them, it's got to be like, you know, whatever they say. They kind of just mumble, right? Statler and Waldorf can't see them. So if you watch Statler and Waldorf, the moment they time it so well, because the moment that thing starts, they're ready for the speech and she goes, both Statler and Waldorf jump a little. They go like, and then they look around like where, like, and they kind of try to look underneath the balcony and they can't see. It's the funniest little thing that no one else is looking at. And I have watched that show Penguin exclusive. I have watched that show Waldorf and Statler exclusive and just concentrated on them.
Yeah,
it's
it
incredible.
is fun to go in there and just watch it and focus on one thing the entire show. Yeah, because if you watch Statler and Waldorf, you know that they have like an extra set of arms up there with the glasses. You know, like with the flags. Like at a certain point, like other robot arms come up and wave and then go back down, and then their arms come back up. I love it. I love it so much. It's such a great.
And then
attraction.
Of course the best. I totally forgot about the best line in the show, which is, "We can't, you fool. We're bolted to the seats," which is the most meta joke in any.
Yes,
it's incredible. It's an incredible joke.
It's such a fun fourth wall breaking. It's 3D, baby. You know, like it really acknowledges that we're there in the theater, which is fun. Also, I gotta say, it's fun going to the Muppets theater. You know, like that's something that no one talks about, and it's kind of implied, sort of. But like you're going to the Muppets theater, which is like the location. You know, and I know that it's like essentially built the same way a Walmart's built. You know, like it's like insane that like we would make a national monument out of like, you know, what is essentially a concrete pad and a bunch of steel that has no character whatsoever. But, you know, I love it. I love it so much. I hope that doesn't get demolished.
What would
really
you like to see, Dan, as we finish up here? What would you like to see? What like if Muppets go somewhere else, where would you like to see the Muppets in theme parks? Not the show, but just Muppets in general.
Oh, I would love to see Muppets just hosting more eateries. Honestly, I think it's so funny. I think it's great, but like I need the Muppets in the eateries, like Sunny Eclipse. You know what I mean? Like I need, to Peter's point, like DJ Rex, like give me an eatery with a Muppet in it. Give me, you know, like take Statler and Waldorf if you're going to demolish them and put them over in Epcot. And have them laughing at people as they're ordering their food or whatnot. Like, just give me something. That. Or install them above the rafters in the Winnie the Pooh ride and have everybody get scared, you know, like, you know, when they're like, turn around and look up in Winnie the Pooh at Disneyland and you see the three haunted faces of dead animals. You know, let's just stick Statler and Waldorf someplace weird, you know. Turns out though they need the robot of Statler and Waldorf to like make like some kind of mythic creature for like Indiana Jones,
Mike Wazowski
or something.
Statler and Waldorf. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or no, they're going to turn them into like, you know, like leopards in the Encanto ride or something.
Peter,
oh my goodness. Okay, so
Peter's got to answer the question too, my man.
Where does he want Muppets to go?
I want a Muppet Dark ride. Forget the eateries. Forget the entertainment. I want like what they were planning with the Great Muppet movie ride or whatever. I want something like on that level. And like nowadays with all these like Disney, like it would be cool to see them like go through different Disney movies or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just...
It would be cool, but we'd have a new character that does that. His name's Olaf, and I believe Miguel from Ant-Man. And so, like, that's what people want these days. They don't want Muppets doing it. They want Olaf to retell the classic
least
tales.
fun Dan has ever been.
Sorry, my best friend's dying, so I don't know what you want me to say.
Maybe, you know what I'll say?
It's true.
Here's what I'll say. Is this a trade-off? No, I want Muppet Vision to stay. But if you could give me Rock and Roller Coaster starring Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem,
yes,
I'd be pretty happy about that too.
And Aerosmith's retired, so it's time, guys. I know you just refurbished the ride, but who cares?
That would work for
Get
me.
on it.
That would work for me.
Every episode of Fun, we like to check in and see what we're up to. That's fun. Since we've had such a devastating conversation, I feel like it's a great time to pivot. Nathan, I have here on the document that it says that you are having fun smiling at your friends. Can you explain this?
Dan, I hate smiling at my friends. In fact, I don't like having friends at all. What I'm talking about is the show, the Adult Swim show, Smiling Friends, which I have recently gotten into, which is a show. I think it's by some Australian comedians, and it's animated. It's kind of flash animated, but then there's also characters that are in 3D and some people that are live action. It's this weird mush of animation choices.
HBO, right? It's on Max. Sorry, not HBO.
Yeah, it's on Max. It's on the Zaslav channel.
The Zaslav app. I've seen this, and I've been on the fence about trying it. What kind of humor am I to expect? It's an Adult Swim show,
so expect it to lean into awkward anxiety, and it does a pretty good. But it's also sort of weirdly sweet at times too, in this weird sort of way. But it's about basically two characters that work for a charity that their whole job is that they'll get people that call in, and they need the people to come to make them smile. And make them happy. And so one of those guys is really excited about his work and very much like, let's do this, let's make people smile. And one is very much like, man, this is a job, it's perfectly fine, and like, if we can do it, cool.
Wow, it's my two personalities.
It's your and it's if you like that kind of humor, it works really well. I think it's one of the best things Adult Swim's made in a long time, and it's a lot of fun.
Amazing! I'm going to try it.
Please,
I'm going to try it out.
10 minutes an episode.
It.
Like, I expect a report back from you soon.
Oh my god! I'm going to watch the whole 3 seasons in about half an hour. Peter, what are you up to for fun these days?
For fun, I don't know. It's all work and no fun, Dan. No,
all work and no fun.
Makes Peter a dull boy.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, is there a TV show? We recently started watching this TV show called The Getaway. Have you heard about this?
No,
I've only seen one episode, so I'm not sure if it's enough to like totally give you the full recommend. But it's on this streaming service called Nebula, and the pitch of this, like, you've seen a reality show where like there's one like mole inside of it, right? Like there's one person that's like working actively against the group,
like the show The Mole.
The Mole, yeah, where each episode they have a competition, and there's some.
It's a TV show.
Traitors.
You understand? There's like a character.
Yeah.
He's like a mole.
There's a traitor. Yeah, so each episode there's like a competition. There's one person actually working against, and at the end of the episode, they all vote to try to get rid of the mole. This show, the genius thing about this show, the pitch is every single person at the beginning of the show, when they open the envelope, everybody thinks they're the mole. Everybody thinks that they're the only person trying to sabotage the whole group.
Oh, that's fun.
So every
Chaos.
week, yeah. So it's kind of fun in that way, but
that is really fun. I love that. I bet that the antics that everyone gets into with one another is
because everybody's also like, you know,
silly situations,
self-conscious, doesn't want everybody to figure out that they're mole, so they got to try not to be the mole,
right?
Yeah. So yeah,
and you can't tell anyone you're the mole.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Exactly.
I love that. And also the production company only has to pay a mole fee instead of the grand prize at the end. Because that's how those TV shows work.
Yes.
All the mole characters they're not eligible to win the grand prize. They just get an appearance
fee. And the graphic designer only had to make one card. It's great. That's smart thinking.
Yeah.
Smart thinking over there at Nebula.
And it's also good at the end of each episode when the person gets voted out, they get pulled back to the van and they get told The secret of the show. So you get to see them. They think that they've screwed up. Like the first episode, the guy gets voted out. He thinks he's screwed up because it's the first episode and he thinks he's the only mole and he got voted out. So he thinks he's ruined the entire show. But then he finds out that like everybody was. Yeah, so.
Okay, I can't wait to watch this.
Dan,
I can't wait to watch this.
What are you having fun with?
So I'm having a really fun time with this new game that I've discovered thanks to my buddy Rob called Content Warning, where you are a streamer who goes into spooky places streaming with the goal of capturing cryptids and then without getting killed by the cryptids so that you can get back to your van with footage of them to upload them onto your stream tube to get more subscribers and sponsorships. And then the game evolves where sponsors come in and they're like, all right, we need like 5 minutes. We need like 5 seconds of this footage and it's up to 4 players. I would love to play it with other streamers because because it's chaos. It's all kind of in like black and white and everyone's wearing like scuba gear. But it's like it's so much fun. It's very like Alien Nostromo in that you're like you're like junkers, you know what I mean? Like you're like exploring abandoned places. But there's this whole element of that you have to film and get back. And if your cameraman dies, someone has to go get the camera and get it back so that like you guys can make money enough to like keep.
So Dan,
keep the operation going.
What you're saying is amazing. For fun, you decided to basically do your job. But
yeah, the most dangerous version of my job. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, I'm training. It's just I'm running simulations. You know, a lot of people, pilots, NASA, they put their people in those pods. This is my pod. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is my
and
training.
Eventually you'll be ready. You'll go back to D23 and you can dodge everybody. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll be prepared. I'll be prepared to be free. Peter. Ordinary Adventures, what's going on? What's the next big adventure?
Probably Halloween Horror Nights. I know it's August, but Halloween season is fastly approaching, and we get to go to Orlando in a couple weeks to experience that at Universal Studios, and then I think the next week back here. So all that stuff is tons of fun for me.
That place is really, really great. What do you think is going to be the weirdest thing you get to eat this year?
Oh, I don't know. Last year there was this like hot dog that had like bubble gum sauce on it, and it was weird.
Dan,
awesome. Did you eat one?
Yes. It wasn't that bad, honestly.
Dan, we must guarantee Peter that he can come on and talk about the most fun thing that he likes to talk about, because we've run him through the ringer of the least fun, which is the death of childhood.
That's true.
Memories.
Yeah, we'll have to have Peter back on. I would love a Halloween horror. I need to go. I'm in a Ghostbusters house. I know it's Frozen Empire or whatever, but still, I went to the first Ghostbusters house and that was my Batu. Like I'm sure, Peter, you wept seeing the Millennium Falcon. When Janine said, "What do you want to me?" I cried, like I wept a tear of joy. So it was incredible. And so I got to go back, it's got to be like a lot of James Acaster, like a scientist or whatever. I don't know. Like,
are you saying that's a problem? I would
excited.
Love a James Acaster to jump out and scare me.
He's in the movie. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I did the full Leo DiCaprio point when he showed up. I was so excited.
Right. Yeah. But I'm just saying we're going to have some like teenager that lives in Orlando pretending to be him, being like, or whatever, whatever he does, So that's a lot of the guys that are in those houses. They're like, and so, but it's spooky. So that's great. Peter, do you have an Ordinary Adventures website, or do people just go on YouTube?
I mean, we do. It's ordinaryadventures.com, but if go to YouTube and search Ordinary Adventures, and that's where you can find us. We, like I said, just a few months ago, we got back from China. So if you want to see all the crazy theme parks in China, like Universal Beijing,
and
blew my mind. Like the Jurassic Park,
oh my God,
or Jurassic World ride there is
crazy
incredible.
Ride over there, crazy. Yeah. Have you guys been to Singapore yet and done the Universal there?
No, that's next, probably next year.
Great. I've been there. It's rocking and rolling, man. It's awesome. You also have some great travel tips for people trying to go to Asia parks.
Yes.
I think you have a whole video just about that. Worth its weight in gold. If you're still listening, if you're still this deep into the podcast, God bless you. There's a little tip for you. This has been great.
Yes.
Nathan, Rat.
Oh, yeah.
You rat.
Yeah.
Over there. You dirty rat.
So by the time this comes out, we will have done our big D23 Rat Castle episode. And if you don't know about Rat Castle, it's a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. And yeah, it's like the rated R version of this.
You got to get Peter on Rat Castle.
We'd love to have you. It's a good crew over there.
Put Peter through the progressive ringer. No, I'm just,
yeah.
The progressive theme
with,
park ringer
with Daily Wire Dan. So I got to go.
Shots fired. Jesus. I don't even know what that necessarily means,
good.
but I feel wounded. Peter, you're a joy, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
Having fun. Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
I'm at your place. I don't know. You're not over here.
This has been fun, and now the show is over. The podcast is over. Thanks for listening. Send in your eulogies for Muppet Vision. Peter's got his new green best friend. He doesn't need Kermit anymore.
Spider.
He's clearly moved on. He just wants them to burn.
That was an impulsive thought, and then you were like, that was a bad idea. I could see it all in one moment.
Yeah. We got it on camera, though, so it was great. We could do it. We could replay it in slow-mo. Oh, my goodness. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Dan, and it's been fun.
This has been a production of 710 Media.